Hello everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Dungeon Onarako Hiro wa Mashigati Masuka Memoria Freese Y2. So 471 or 2, I don't remember. It's Friday, I had a good day at school. But that's not what matters, does it? What matters is the episode, is the brand new episode that came out either Thursday, Friday, I don't know anymore. Apparently it is called episode 6. Obviously the Ishtar, the start of the Ishtar Familia arc. And also the City of Lust. I'm just saying that is the title of this episode without the arc part. But anyway, we have a lot of things to talk about regarding this episode, like that fox person Renardin. Can we talk about all of the twisty things? Also, we saw Hermes, which I adore. Even I predicted that. So yeah, we're here. Alright, quick recap time, ladies and gentlemen. Episode 1, great. Episode 2, greater. Episode 3, even greater. Episode 4, even greater. Episode 5, even greater. But episode 6, you know, I really gotta give it to everyone. I really gotta give it to Memoria Freese. Really gotta give it to the people who work. I mean, of course, Fujino Omori, freaking author of the whole thing. But you know, I gotta give credit to everybody who's been working on this whole thing, because I just don't. This is a weird episode, and I don't mean that in a bad way. It's a weird episode because whenever I say weird, like sometimes when people say weird, they don't mean to say weird. It's more interesting than weird. And I like that. I like weird episodes. Also, I didn't do any offline stuff, so that's the thing. Also, I think I actually did. Never mind. Anyway, so I didn't do much offline stuff, but yeah, this was an interesting episode. Like incredibly interesting. So interesting that I barely forgot. It's like one of those episodes where you sort of like it sort of felt like how, because every time I watch one of these episodes in this new season, I don't usually stop when I've started, because I do that with other anime, because those aren't like currently going on. Those are from like 2017, 2016, 2015, 2014, some from 2007. And you know, I don't really pause or anything. I mean, I always pause on all those anime, but you know, since this is an anime that's ongoing, I kind of just want to see it, you know, start to finish. And I like that. It's fun to be able to do that. Also, we have so many gacha, it's insane. Jesus. All right. So much gacha, it's mental. But yeah, like I was saying, what was I saying? Oh yeah, you know, I usually don't pause, and I didn't pause here. I didn't pause in this episode, and I kind of felt like episode 2, which felt really long to me, and I like that. You know, almost every episode this season has felt longer than 20 minutes, I feel. I mean, it's obviously 23, 24 minutes long, you know, time stamp wise or just length wise, but to me it just feels like a 30-minute episode, or like a 30-minute episode, even without watching all the credits. And I think that's just like being immersed into the story, and I always like that about shows, like anime, basically anime and shows in general, because some shows have that one episode that kind of feels like that says it's 10 minutes, but it actually feels like 40, because it feels like such a long time. It's like you start somewhere, and then at the end of the episode you end off somewhere else that's like completely different, and you've gone and seen so much. And I sort of like those episodes, or movies, or whatever, and that's why I really appreciate this episode, because it's interesting in the fact that it introduced so many new people. Well, not so many new people, but so many new people. Of course, it introduced a new familia. It introduced, new people, meaning, either side characters, or not side, just like background characters, or information of the place where the background characters are in. They added new characters, have names for the new characters. And so a lot of stuff happened this episode. And I don't know, because usually it takes me a minute, especially with episode 4, it took me a minute, since that was the war game. When I finished watching that, I'm like, whoa, like I need a hot minute to be able to process all of that before talking about it in video. And and it's not like this episode was mind-blowing, but it was really funny. I like that. It was interesting and funny. It's Memoria Freese, not in a nutshell, trust me. It's nothing like in a nutshell, but it's sort of like a part in Memoria Freese. It's like a part of Memoria Freese in a nutshell, I guess. And so let me explain, alright? First of all, I just want to say, I don't mean to make y'all hungry, but I had a glazed donut from Krispy Kreme? Yeah, Krispy Kreme while watching this episode. Greatest donut of all time. Before that, I actually did like an 2-hour workout on the treadmill. Even though I wanted to walk outside in nature, I'm limited here in my home that is controlled by my parents. So, anyway, besides all that, it is currently, and if you haven't noticed, I actually fixed the time on my phone, so it's actually America time for once, or whatever time it is in America, you get the point. And so, I'm recording this currently, like 34 minutes to 10, and if you think, no, I was gonna say if you think that's crazy, but it's not, because I've recorded videos way later than that. But it's a little crazy for me because the thing is that I was originally gonna record this episode at 5 or 4 in the afternoon, but the reason why I didn't is because I realized, oh wait, I need to watch the new episode, and I'm pretty sure the episode, like every week's episode, comes out on a Thursday and not a Friday. But if it does always come out on a Thursday, it's fine, because at least people have the chance to watch it before watching me review the episode. So yeah, that's good. But my point is that I wanted to record it earlier, but I couldn't because, I needed to watch the episode, and I could have watched the episode, but I didn't want to watch the episode because I needed to finish up some stuff because I was waiting to just do stuff. All right, I'm not even gonna talk about it. There's no point in talking about things that don't matter right now. What matters is that we're here, and then I'm recording this, and hopefully this will go up before 12 p.m. or 12 a.m. So yeah, that's where we are. I don't know how long this video is gonna be. I'm hoping it's going to be less than an hour. But yeah, like I said, this episode was really interesting. I think, you know, and I've mentioned this in the previous reviews, that each episode so far in this season has had a different mood, a different feel to them, especially the last episode, episode 5, the Hearthfire Mansion home, which was really slice of lifey type deal. While the episode prior, War Game, was very action and very comedic and very twisty-turny. And then, of course, the episode prior to that, which was not Reunion, it was like Gathering or Reunited or something. Yeah, that whole thing was like a, was it a slice of life? No, it was like a progression episode. That's what I said. Yeah, it was like a progression episode for the characters, because everybody was added to the Hestia Familia, and then Lily stood up to Soma's wine, and then the episode prior to that was dark because it had who was in that episode? Oh yeah, it had it was really dark because frickin' the Hestian Bell's home was destroyed. The old church was destroyed by an ambush of the Apollo Familia mixed with the Soma Familia. And then of course that was a dark episode, and then the first episode, which was just the first episode of the season, was a really fun and really cheery episode. It wasn't slice of lifey, it was just fun and cheery. Now, this episode, like I said, again, very, very interesting. But this episode, alright, let's do some work here. I'm not going to be doing any boosts or events, even though I should be actually doing events. Let's do that, in just a moment here. So yeah, like I was saying, this episode was, of course, really interesting, like I've mentioned a million times. And so, I like that because, again, it continues the continuous roll of a new mood every single episode. So, like I said, while the last one was this, and the prior to one was that, this episode is something else. Completely different from the others. Even though it features some of the same characters, the same characters in the same place, well, some in different places, it's still different moods, and I really like that. But anyway, we're not here talking about that. We are, but we're going to talk about that in a second. Let's check out Special Novel 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I wonder what's going to happen this time. A confession? Wait, what?
お祝いのお花も持ったし、これで大丈夫。
What celebration?
ウォーゲームから時間が経っちゃったけど、ロキが勧めてくれた花
A confession?
それに言わなくちゃいけないこともあるし。ベル。
I don't believe it.
なんて美しさだ。まるで恋する乙女じゃないか。うわあ、元気が誰かに告白するってのか。
頑張らなくちゃ。
No way. A confession? I don't believe it.
ウォーゲームおめでとう。ファミリアも大きくなってよかったね。
本当にありがとうございます、アイズさん。嬉しいな。
Aww. Aww.
あれ、アイズさん、なんだかもじもじしてる。
What do you want to tell him? It can't be a confession. No.
これはまさか。
No, 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 no,
アイズさんが白い花束
no,
を持って
no, no. It can't. It can't.
何かを
It
必死に
cannot.
伝えようとしている。
In no world possible. It's just, it's clickbait. It's clickbait. It's clickbait.
すごく強くなったね。
Told you. Told you. Told you. Told you. Told you.
私、そんな君のこと。
Wait, is it not? Hold on. Oh, how do you get stronger? No. Please don't tell me it's...
ベル。
はい。
レベル3のランクアップ。
Yeah, I knew it! I knew it! I knew it! Yes! What did I tell you? Not a confession at all. That was beautiful. That's my favorite special story, special novel. As of right now, that's my favorite. That's hilarious. A+ to whoever thought of that. That's great. See, I played this game long enough to know she was never in a million years gonna confess to him. So what are we here to talk about now? Oh, right, episode 6. Alright, so let's actually do some sort of Oratoria stuff. Because that's always fun to rewatch over and over again, right? Oh, wait, we need to... Okay, actually, let's not do that. Let's actually go back to the old Bell episodes and clear all those. Because that seems very easy. So like I was saying, I'm going to be using this team. Right, so like I was saying, this episode was really interesting. For the life of me, like the previous episode, or episodes, am not going to be able to review scene by scene in order. I'll try my best to remember what happened first, what happened second, what happened third. I know I just watched it. Well, it's been almost 20 minutes since I've watched it. But, you know, basically I just watched it and I should remember everything in order, but told you it was an interesting episode. It was so interesting that I forgot what it was all about. So, let's begin the episode here. So, it starts off with... Right. So, it starts off in the city of Lust, and just giving a sort of flyby around of like the streets and all of that, and the people there. And then I think something happens. I forget what happens before the opening scene. I'm not sure if it's super important or not. You know what? For the sake of reviewing things, I'm actually gonna check. Hold on. I'm turning back the clock on the episode, and I'm pretty sure I know everything past the intro. I just don't know what came before the intro. Because this episode felt so long, like I said. Alright. Also, I just realized I didn't call 10-minute mark. Which, like, never happens. So 10 and 20-minute mark.
問題ない選択肢を選んでおくれやらせるもの
So, from what I deciphered from skipping, like, 2 seconds, more like 11 seconds, what I can only assume is later in the episode, the, Ishtar herself, Ishtar, goddess Ishtar, Ishtar, says, get ready everyone, something is going to happen, I don't know. And, you know, she's sitting behind a window, atop a tall tower, just like, a little Sum we know, not Soma, no, I'm talking about Freya. And then I think that's how it ends. I forgot. Again, I'm not gonna rewatch the beginning right now because I just wanna tell y'all. All right, I'm way too excited here. So then the intro plays. Great times happen. Great intro, amazing intro. Oh wait, sorry, no, not intro. Get ready. Shows Ishtar says, "Get ready, everyone." And then it sort of just gives a full-scale back view of the Ishtar Familia's city of sorts, aka the City of Lust, or, in other words, the Pleasure District. And so then, for a second there, I thought it was like another city like Arario, but then I'm like, wait a minute, there can't be another Arario. That's just mainly Ishtar Familia. That's insane. No. So apparently, before we get into the actual episode, before even getting past the intro, I want to mention something. So apparently, also known as the Nighttime District or the Night District or whatever it's called, City of Night, the Night City, I don't know, is apparently a district. The City of Lust is a district in Arario. I don't know how many other districts there are. I know that there's Daedalus Street, or Daedalus Street, which is also mentioned in this episode. And I know that there's... Yeah, that's basically all I know. I know there's a few places, of course, like the Bell and the Hospitality Place, but those aren't really cities, more just like buildings, or monuments, so... Anyways, so, yeah, that's cool. So the intro plays, and then we're brought back to not the end of the last episode, but we are at the same time. We're not brought, like, we aren't recapped with what happened at the end of the last episode. We just start off after the intro with Makoto saying, after, you know, talking with Chigusa, that Makoto is going to bed early, and she says that to the whole familia, and so Makoto goes up to her room. But before she does, she checks downstairs to see if anyone is gonna follow her out. No one follows her out. So she's like, all right. And what she does is that she escapes. She escapes. Oh yeah, she runs off into the night out of the window of her room, and wouldn't you know it, Welf, Lily, and Belle were actually prepared to see her run away. So then they chase after her, and they find her only to meet up with Chigusa. And so Makoto is now with Chigusa. Of course, Makoto has no knowledge of that Lily, Welf, and Belle are tailing her and Chigusa. And so, yeah. So they tail them, they follow them, and they end up, and wouldn't you know it, the Pleasure District itself, the City of Lust.
バカじゃありませんの
これが私だ
Where I also forgot to mention, this episode is very
達成素晴らしい戦果ですって何ですかこの喋り
is
方
is very much what you would think
みんな
the City of Lust would inquire and mean.
存分に暴れるとしよう
私とちぎりを結んでほしい
So of course they enter and it's a very pretty city. It's a very nice it's a very nice area. Just like
終わりにいたしましょう
in retrospect,
何をする
outing all of the characters and the whole thing that's happening in the moment. It is it's a genuinely and generally nice looking area. Despite
さあ始めましょうか私の戦争を
everything, like I said, despite everything, it looks nice. It looks very, very beautiful, the whole district. So anyway, continuing. They tail. Yeah.
本当の愛は
Gotta get my thoughts straight.
これから
It's almost 10 at night. I should be sleeping, but I'm not because it's actually weekend.
私たちのデートを始めましょう
So they keep on tailing Makoto and Chigusa in the district, and Lily's like, "Why are they in here?" It's like, well, if this is the last place I'd expect him to see him.
私たちのデートを始め
And
ま
then
しょう
Belle is like enamored by like everything. And Wolf mentions that he's been here. Apparently, some of his old colleagues dragged him here once. While Lily and Wolf are completely just
また
like
デートに連れて
do
行ってくれるの
not
私たち
care
のデートを
about
始めよう
anything
じゃないか
except trying to tail Makoto and Chigusa. Belle is just enamored, like I said, by everyone, by all of the
絆の勝利だぜ
women there. Yeah. And it's, again, it's a nice area, it's great, it's all that. So they continue on, and they end up seeing that Makoto and
愛のお
Chigusa
仕置きタイム開始よ
go up to, I think, like, and I don't know what it's called, just it's just a group
またデートに連れ
of
て行ってくれるの
rich
総員
men.
選択
I think that's, yeah, like rich men, wearing some nice tuxedos or dress or something. I don't know. Looking very nicely dressed.
国の時代を覆す光に
And they huddled around Makoto and Chigusa, and so then Wolf and Lily were like, all right, we need to go help them. And so they go help them, and then they try to get Belle, like they're like, okay, we gotta run to go help them because this place will get crowded. And so then, Lily, Wolf, and Belle run to it, run to help Makoto and Chigusa, when
あなたに出会えてよかった
when Belle is swept into the storm. That is the very packed, but again, very beautiful
グフの巫女
pleasure district. And so before we continue with, what happens with Belle,
私
of course, Lily and Wolf end up
ですわ
manage to get Makoto and Chigusa back from the guys, even though I think they went to them. And so yeah,
純潔の神
so Wolf and Lily are like, "What were you two doing here?" And Makoto was like, "How'd you find us?" And then they're like, "We were tailing you because we were worried about you. We're familia and all that."
私とち
And
ぎ
then
りを
Makoto's like, "Oh, yeah, I guess that makes sense." I mean, she said, we were planning on telling you afterward, but apparently the reason why Makoto was so shocked
達成
at the end of the last episode was because her and Chigusa heard that one of their friends one of their old friends that they used to, one of their old childhood friends that they used to play with in the Far East, was here in Arario working as a prostitute, which really surprised them. Really surprised them, and they wanted to check out if it was true. So that's why that whole thing happened at the end of the episode. I thought Oka died. I thought the Ishtar familia was some murderous familia gonna take over the whole city. I was incredibly wrong, but also incredibly right. Take over the whole city. It may not be the whole city, but it's a whole district of the city, and it's a more or less huge portion of the men in the city. Hermes. Speaking of Hermes, well, not yet, but speaking of him in a moment, Lily and Welf are like, wait, where's Belle? And Makoto's like, Belle was with you? And then Welf and Lily are like, oh shit! And they try to look back where they originally were, and there was like a huge crowd there, and so they're like, oh shit! And so then for the rest of the episode, we don't focus on them, which I was a little upset by, but also not at the same time. I think it's also cool because I'm realizing things now as I talk about the episode, that we kind of had a flipped script of episode 3. Of course, being Gathering, the episode called Gathering. Or no, it was Conversion or something. It was Conversion or something like that. Conversion or Coming Together. Gathering, whatever it's called. It was sort of like the flipped script of that, where the main characters were, of course, Hestia and Lily and Welf and Makoto, and I think Naza and Rue as well, trying to help Lily, escape, trying to help Lily escape from Soma Familia, while just not focusing on Belle that much, and we only got to see Belle at the very tail end. Besides, the 2 times we saw him between scenes, between 2 major scene cuts, training with Tiona and Ace for the war game. But that was sort of like this episode, where, like I said, this was sort of like the flip script of that episode, where we didn't focus on Hestia, because Hestia wasn't even in this episode, which, I mean, it's not incredibly terrible, but, it's not new. It's not like it's crazy that she wasn't in this episode. I actually think if it was any other episode, and if it was episode 3 and Hestia wasn't in it, then I wouldn't get why she wouldn't be in it, because she was one of the main driving forces in the episode. But I can see why she wasn't in this episode for so many reasons. And I'm not saying that she's a bad character. Everybody loves Hestia. If you don't love Hestia, I don't know what's wrong. I really don't know what's wrong with you. I mean, actually, no, you know what? Everyone is free to have their own opinion. But seriously, what's wrong with you? But anyway, continuing. I like that about this episode, because we focus more on Belle and, the Ishtar Familia and the City of Lust and Hermes, which I guess would not flip the script, but also flip the script at the same time. Oh yeah, speaking of Hermes, so, Belle was caught in the crowd, and then he managed to escape the crowd, And, you know, he was walking around, he was admiring everything, trying to find a way out, and he ends up passing by, hold on, I need to go to the end of the episode real quick. He ends up passing by a fox person, or the fox girl, from the trailer, or not the trailer, yeah, from the trailer and the theme song that we see staring out a window. Which we find out her name is, oh, I forgot her name. How could I forget? By the way, I'm just skipping through. Sorry about that. Yeah, we get the outro song is amazing. We get it. Alright, hold on, ladies and gentlemen. Alright, cool. So, the fox person, I forgot what her name is. I think it's Haru something. Actually, can I get a second check on that? That would be really... Actually, no, I'm not. We're just gonna call her Renard, which is a fox person. So we meet Renard, because I can literally not remember her name. And I can't even remember... Or... Can I? There's another person name that we learned in this episode, besides Ishtar. So anyway, we meet, you know, Belle sees Renard for a hot second. You know, the Renard girl. Or Haru. You know, I'm just gonna call her Haru. Actually, let me just check this out real quick. I'll be right back. So apparently I am right. It's Haruhime. And apparently, this isn't so much the Ishtar Familia arc as it is the Haruhime arc. And so anyway, Haruhime, he meets Haruhime, like, not meets her, but sees her for a split second, and then she disappears from his sight. And then he's like, a Renard? Huh? And then, out of nowhere, guess who we see? Bump into him. Hermes! And so Hermes is like, oh, Belle, what are you doing here? And then Belle's like, what are you doing here? And then, Hermes is like, oh, Belle, what are you doing here? And then Hermes is like, well, I guess you're that age, huh? And then he's like, no, I'm trying to find a way out of here. And then you're like, sure you are. And it's like, hey, I'm gonna give you some good luck. And gives him a potion, a small vial of sorts. And when, you know, and then, you know, Hermes is like, well, I'll see you later. Let us both have a night of good fun. And then Belle's like, what is this? And then Hermes is like, it's an aphrodisiac. And you know, for a second, I had sort of like I had a not a mental freeze. I didn't have a brain freeze. I just had an information freeze. You know, I'm like, I tried to look back into my vocabulary, into my mental vocabulary, to just try and see and try to remember what that word meant. And I got to the point where I'm like, alright, I can't stop this episode, so let me just look this up. So I look it up on my phone, because I can't remember anything for the life of me. And I looked it up. Didn't even take 10 seconds to read anything. And I laughed for like 2 minutes straight. Don't worry, I did not miss any of the episode, because I went back and watched the 2 minutes that I lost while laughing. But yes, it's funny. It's very funny. Hermes is funny boy. Well, not funny boy, he's a funny god. Same thing. He's neutral. So anyway. We never see Hermes. Well, actually we do, but that's later. So besides Hermes, then we continue to follow Belle, and now he has the aphrodisiac in his hand just a little while. And then he ends up up running into, not Ace, but it's Ace something. It's the Amazon version of Ace. No, wait, no, that sounds like a fanfic. No, thank you. No, it's not the it's her name starts with Ace or Eyes. Is it Isaiah or forget? Again, I'm sorry. I know I just watched this episode. And I'm surprised I don't remember everything. But anyways, he meets one of the prostitutes, and he's roped in by her, and he's like, let go of me, and he tries to escape, and he can't escape, and so then, out of nowhere, this girl's friends, this woman's friends, aka more prostitutes, find her, and they look at Belle. One of them looks at Belle, and they're like, "Hey, isn't this little Rookie?" And she's like, "Little Rookie? You mean the guy? You mean the war game kid?" I'm over here being like, Belle, you've worked yourself quite a goddamn name. Like, man, if your name... Like, I knew that you were popular after the end of War Game, because you beat the entire Apollo Familia, not only by yourself, but, by yourself, who was considered a kid in the streets, drenched in blood like Carrie after getting I'm referring to the first episode of the anime. I'm saying he's coming a long way. Just like this series. So anyway, it's 10 at night, and I'm pretty sure we're past the 40-minute mark. I don't even know at this point. I don't even care at this point. And Belle is, in that moment, then, all her friends, want a piece of him. And so what ends up happening is that they all take him to, the palace or the main Familia place, the main Ishtar Familia palace, or whatever you want to call it, where they bring him in front of Ishtar herself, and Ishtar says, "Nuh-uh, I don't wanna, I'm not gonna spend time with this kid. I got another visitor coming tonight, more on that later." So then, they check to see if there's any rooms for the girls and Belle to serve him in, and there aren't any, which I don't know if that's, I'm not gonna finish that thought. So then they're waiting. They're like in a waiting room of sorts, and they're like, "Do you want to start now?" And he's like, "No, but wouldn't that be wrong?" I'm over here being, it's like, wait, wouldn't it be wrong? Wouldn't that be wrong? Because aren't I in different familias, like in rival familias? Like, wouldn't that be wrong? And I'm over here being like, look, my guy, you're saying that it's not wrong to try to pick up girls in a dungeon, but you're telling me that it's not. Are you telling me that it is wrong for prostitutes to pick up men in the city of lust? Does that make sense? Yes, it does. And is it wrong? Well, I mean, it's apparently foreign to Belle, but I mean, anyway, because I'm not gonna be completing a million thoughts that I just don't feel comfortable completing. They wait. They're waiting for a little, and Belle's a little uncomfortable. And then this huge lady comes in being like, "Oh, who are you with?" Okay, and let me tell you, this character, alright, and I'm not talking about huge lady, you know, like, huge lady. You know, I'm talking about, like, bobblehead, Funko Pop type lady over here. You know, some fairy tale looking villain. I haven't watched Fairy Tail in a few months. I think it's actually been a year since I've continued Fairy Tail. Last time I was like on episode 170 or something. I swear there was one character, I forget where, but there was this like I forget what guild it was a part of. Oh yeah. I think it was like one of the very first. I don't know. Anyway, my point is that this she was just massive. She wasn't fat. Her head was just massive. Like I said, a Funko Pop type character. And she's like, "Oh, I want him. You know, all of you girls are really ugly." And I mean, I'm over here being like, I'm over here, you know, watching this scene, and you know, the girls who are apparently being judged as ugly say like, "No, you're ugly." And, you know, for the first time, I gotta agree with these. I gotta agree with these gals over here. All right, even though I know they're trying to get it on with Belle over here, you know, I really gotta stay on their side with this one. That, I mean, the person that's calling them ugly is ugly, and that's ironic. That's irony, and I like that. That is funny. But I really gotta agree with them when they say that they're not ugly, because they aren't. They're beautiful. Like, they're beautiful. And so, and you know, of course, she's not. I'm not saying that the character, that certain character that says she's pretty and she's not ugly, but the people who are actually pretty are ugly. I'm not saying that person isn't pretty to other. If she's pretty to you, if that Funko Pop lady is beautiful to you, then be my guest. Alright, then be my guest. You are free to your own opinion. I am actually terrified to be reviewing this episode now that I think about it. Because I just really don't want to accidentally say something that might get me demonetized. How will this get me demonetized? Don't ask me! So anyway, I'm pretty sure this is actually going to be a 2-part episode, so if it is, welcome 10 minutes in to this second part. What is this episode again? 471 B? No, I'm not going to do 170. I'm probably going to combine these two. Actually, I would combine these two episodes, but I don't have enough time to do that because my phone's going to crash any second. So, anyway, moving along with us. Alright, please. Talk about that freaking Funko Pop lady more than all the time. So, while they're rambling and stuff, Belle just tries to sneak away, and they notice, and so he just runs away to runs faster than the Flash, trying to get away from them. And, you know, he goes through different places and all of that, and ends up in the back garden, or like at the entrance of a hotel, or I think it's a hotel. And you know, it's a really nice place, or pleasure palace. That's some great alliteration. Anyway, so he tries to hide there, and they keep on finding him, and so he ends up just, again, tries to hide. So he goes into the pleasure palace and ends up just fumbling into a room, and then you know, he's like, oh my god, you know, they finally got away, like I finally got away from them. And then he turns his back, and then he sees like there's another curtain to this other room behind the room that he just went in to hide in, and he sees that a light is on. So he enters the room, and wouldn't you know it, he sees Haruhi, aka Renard Foxperson, who we saw earlier. But, you know, he's actually seeing her, you know, in person, like earlier. But now it's eye to eye. Actually, last time, anyway, he sees her. And Haruhime mistakes him for a customer. And so this girl nearly gets it on with him. Very, very closely gets it on with him, I might add. And she ends up just fainting, I think, because of his collarbone? I don't know. It was a strange scene. And so then they end up talking, and Bell clears up the situation, saying that he's not a customer, and that he was trying to run away from the Isaiah or whatever her name is. And then Haruhime is like, oh yeah, I know her. You were trying to run away from her. And he's like, yeah. And then she's like, oh, she takes care of me most days. And it's like, oh really? And then all that. And so then she's like, well, for what it's worth, what I'll do, I'll show you, like, when it gets close to dawn, I'll show you a secret pathway out of here, so you can be on your way. But for now, what you can do is, in exchange, I'll still serve you in any way in any way you please, and my only wish is that you talk to me. And so, this is, it's nighttime right now. Like, I'm just waiting for the scene to cut to Hestia and Lily and Wealth and Makoto and Chigusa just freaking out about where Belle is. But I'm so glad that wasn't in here. Again, I don't hate any of those characters, but I'm just glad that they weren't further in this episode, because, like I said, it flips the script of the third episode. So anyway, and I've said anyway 100 times, Belle and Haruhime start talking, and it appears that Haruhime likes hero stories, just like Belle. So I'm like, oh my god, that's so adorable, and they start bonding over that. And then it cuts to Ishtar and Hermes, who are apparently having a conversation. Apparently that's the visitor that she was expecting. And so Hermes is like, oh, what do you need me? Well, why did you need me here? And then Ishtar was like, oh yeah, Hermes gave her a gift, and then she's like, do you know what this is for? And then he's like, what is this for? And then she's like, did you look? And he's like, no. And then she's like, well, I'll tell you. And then it cuts back to Belle and Haruhime, continuing to talk. And it gets to a point, I forget how the scenes go back to back, but to sum it up quickly, it gets to the point where she talks about how she lived in the Far East, and heard those stories, and, ends up talking about her past, how, like I said, she came from the Far East, and then a bunch of stuff happened. Her family disowned her, because she made her father mad. Okay, Toka, you're being way too goddamn loud. apparently her family disowned her, and she was left by herself, and she had to leave, and then she wound up being cured by the Ishtar familia, and now she's here.
我らは風に愛するし、グフ
Yeah, so now she's with the Ishtar familia, trapped as a prostitute, and it's really sad. And then she's like, as much as she's like, oh, I wish to, be with a hero and all of that, one day, and he's like, it's possible, and she's like, it's not possible because I'm no longer pure, and no hero in the world would be willing to want to be with a prostitute. So it was very sad. It was a very sad moment, and I think that happened actually after Ishtar and Hermes had a scene where Ishtar's like, tell me what you know about her, and her meaning Freya, which I thought was interesting because we recently saw over here in this series, me playing through this game, that there was another interaction in Sword Art Oratoria. I believe it was with who was it with? It was someone wanting to know stuff about Freya. I know it's not the Secret Game stuff. I know it was someone, and I find that really interesting because this episode also proved very useful. I think I mentioned this way earlier in this video, that by the way, 20-minute mark, that this episode, just like episode 3, actually, may I not have mentioned this? Just like episode 3, was a very progressive episode, not character-wise, but plot-wise, and, overarching-wise of Freya. And so, I thought that to be very interesting because, what happened is that Hermes, Ishtar asked Hermes, like, oh, what do you know about Freya? And then he's like, I don't know much. And so then Ishtar, to put it shortly, and I think simply, we're not really sure what happened, but I can only assume that she, let's just say, I've said the word prostitute 100 times. She seduced him. And she seduced information out of him, and he said, when it turned morning, this is also when Haruhime said to Belle that, a prostitute would never be liked by a hero, and that her dream was completely shattered. When she knew she wasn't pure anymore, the sun came up, and when also the sun came up, Ishtar said, so the reason, the reason why Freya is there is she wants the boy. And then Ishtar's like, well, I guess I'll have to have the boy as well. And so then that opens up something else, and then that ends there. I gotta really feel bad for Hermes, because he really didn't want to say that to anyone. And so then Belle was led by Haruhime to Daedalus Street, and he ran off, really pissed off, hearing, what Haruhime said. He was sad, not pissed off, but he felt sad for Haruhime and just ran away because he didn't want to get caught, or, he didn't want to get caught by the people who are following him earlier like crazy. I don't know why I'm not playing. Hold on. So yeah, he just ran off, and I think it was one of the main prostitutes from earlier. She's like, all right, Haruhime, let's go really quickly, like, because I'm pretty sure the prostitute saw that Haruhime let Belle go, and so they just ran off, and yeah, that all ended. And so then Belle ran off, obviously, and like I said, right after that, Belle just went, or not Belle, right after that, Ishtar herself, said, well, I guess I'm gonna have to get the boy myself. And if you didn't just hear my TV blurt out a word, she said, I'll steal him from her, and I'll have her for myself. And I believe that's where the episode ends. And, of course, best outro in the universe plays, again. If you can find a better one, tell me. And then, yeah, that's just how the episode ends. But the outro. And then we get the title for the next episode, which is Bernard Fox Person, which is obviously Haruhime. And yeah, that's the whole episode. It's a great episode. Thank y'all for watching, but we're not done. We're not done. Because because it's very interesting. Because Alright, so to quickly wrap up everything, so the interesting part to end off with this episode is that this episode, episode 6, is now split into two different arcs. It can either be referred to as the Ishtar Familia arc, which would be Ishtar herself trying to steal Belle away from Freya, which she doesn't even have Belle yet, and or Haruhime, which is obviously the friend that Makoto and Chigusa were trying to find, and her arc of hopefully escaping. So there's a lot of things that come out of this, and I'm gonna have to end this episode off here, very, very sadly, because I have completely run out of memory. This is way too long of an episode. Thank y'all for watching another episode of Dungeon no Koiro wa Mashigata Memoria episode 471, and yeah, see you guys later. Bye.